Good morning. We're going to call this a truck talk, but let's talk about cold weather and cerebral palsy, specifically spastic cerebral palsy. Right now in Florida, we're having a cold snap, and it is in the 40s here this morning. And when the weather changes, my body hurts tremendously. It's the barometric pressure change that affects my joints, both my good side and my bad side. It's funny when you start calling it your good side and yet you overuse it, which therefore it becomes somewhat of a bad side itself if you're not careful. But let's just talk about specifically the weather change. The changes of weather, whether it's cold to hot, hot to cold, if it's a drastic change, it wreaks havoc on my body. And it has for a while, but it does appear to be getting worse in that regard. Now, cerebral palsy is not supposedly is not a progressive disease. However, the wear and tear and aging on your body, I think, progresses at a faster rate. The neurological condition, of course, does not change. Funny how they say cerebral palsy is not a progressive disease. I'm like, let me tell you a story. But the cold weather and the spasticity is something that people, I think, sometimes overlook. It's kind of like how I can relate it. I'll try and relate it to if you've ever been like in a mountain in North Georgia or North Carolina, South Carolina, north of that area, and you jump into a spring or a creek that is truly spring fed and it's really, really cold. Years ago, I went whitewater rafting, and when you would go underwater, it would take your breath away. Remember how your body felt for the neuronormals out there? You remember how your body felt? It seized up in that moment to the point where it took your breath away. Well, for people with cerebral palsy, sometimes because of the cold, our body seizes up and we spaz or we contract, and it causes additional pain. So it's just interesting to know that, okay, well, cold weather sucks for old people, but it also sucks for some people that might not feel so old, or actually some of us that do feel old who aren't biologically old in age, at least the number count. Today I'm sitting and I'm a few minutes early to physical therapy, thus making the video. Now, I'll try and go through my entire set today of physical therapy. However, I will have a discussion with my physical therapist about not doing everything that I do on a normal day just because I don't want to be wiped out for the whole weekend. And tomorrow it's supposed to be colder. So that's something that, you have to consider and you have to think about. Like, look, today's a okay day or today's a bad day. I don't want to make a bad day turn into a bad weekend, or a good day to be overdone and then turn into a bad weekend. If you want to get some things done or you want to do things around the house or whatever, there are some days where literally you feel so tight you don't feel like getting out of bed, but if you don't get out of bed, guess what happens? You stay tight and you get tighter. So you have to stretch, you have to stretch, you have to stretch. If there's anything that people with cerebral palsy need to do more than anyone else, it's stretch. And that sucks, because it hurts to stretch. So the whole scenario in that regard, as far as getting colder, I couldn't live outside the state of, I've considered living, and I have lived in the past in North Carolina. I've been all over the country with my work, but I don't know that I could live in cold climate because my body couldn't handle it. And for those that have cerebral palsy who do live in colder climates, I just don't know how you do it other than staying very well insulated and lots of heating pads and blankets and hot toes, hot feet, hot hands. So just remember, when it's cold outside, people with cerebral palsy, we're spazzing up, and we're sorry. If we're grumpy, it's probably because of the weather. Anyway, thanks for listening.